I'm Austin Rosenbaum. I'm a Zpryme research analyst, and I'm joined by Vonnie Smith with Bentley Systems.
Hello.
Vonnie, I just wanted to ask you, so ETS is all about designing for energy. Sort of where does Bentley Systems, where are we seeing some of the ideas and things that you're working on tie into what we're doing here at ETS today?
Okay, very good. Bentley Systems is all about infrastructure. We work across a number of industries, designing, managing, maintaining infrastructure, which of course contributes to the quality of life of all of us. So we are certainly engaged on the design side, but we also have an ever increasing focus on the asset performance side, where we are working to help our utilities and other industries to achieve a reliability and resilience, which is particularly important today for utility companies as they experience market reform, renewable energy pressures, and an increasing distributed generation within their systems.
So expand on those challenges a little bit more. Where can utilities start today with some of those challenges and start to implement solutions and see some real benefits?
Right. So when you think about utilities and compare them to other industries, in many ways they're the same, and that is that the pressures to use IoT data and other kinds of automation in order to achieve some of the new opportunities are there for all these industries. But interestingly, for utilities, they already have a sizable investment into digital data coming from the smart grid, smart meter installations that began some 5 to 8 years ago. And so they really have a leg up, if you will, to be able to start leveraging that digital data, that IoT information, to help them achieve better designs, to help them achieve higher levels of resiliency and reliability, even amongst the challenges that exist today in their marketplace.
So really our topic is about design for energy. How do those IoT and the smart systems and all the data really weave into designing for a better energy future?
Right, well, they are definitely tied together. When you think about what's happening in the utility industry, for example, the introduction of renewable energy sources and wind farms and solar panels, et cetera, well, those all are new types of equipment that the utilities or the industrial users have not typically had in their systems. And so they introduce new kinds of failure points. New criteria for what's a critical asset versus what's not a critical asset, and new considerations at the time that designs are being done. So to understand how those assets fail, for example, can be an important piece of information at the very beginning, at the time that you're designing that infrastructure, that those things can be considered. I mean, obviously there's the whole new concept of reverse power flow that exists within the utility, which has a huge impact on design. So, I like to think about a utility in the old days as kind of a battery and a light bulb. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff, with
right.
unidirectional power. But as you look at where we are today, it's really not the same equation. So designing, for reliability and being, cognizant of the operating conditions that you want to create becomes a really important factor.
So what are some of the things that we have available today to deal with things like two-way power flow? What are some of the strategies that we can implement to really deal with that? Right.
Well, again, I think it's largely helped by the digital data, and it's supported by the digital data, by the analytics that can be applied to that data, so that it's possible for there to be a very high level view of over current, off nominal voltage, frequency distortions that have occurred in your system, and to really present that in a very understandable way where it's easily visualized by analyzing all that data that's there, and being able to visualize that.
Are there gaps in the technology that you're seeing, and how are those gaps being addressed? Like you mentioned data and the sort of harmonic distortions and those sorts of things. We look at solar systems today, and a lot of those harmonics are actually coming from those high levels of PV penetration.
Right.
Where is that? What do we need to do? What do we need to do to address that gap in technology to really have a more reliable system?
That's a good question. I mean, I think there are gaps in technology, and it's hard for me to understand, and I think about this a lot. Is it the gap in the technology that's really the problem, or is it the adoption of the technology and the cost to do that, which is the problem as well? So I think we're, and I guess another whole aspect of it is the regulatory side.
Sure.
I recently had a conversation with one utility, and they said, we know what to do, but the regulatory environment doesn't allow us to do that today. So I think it's kind of a multifaceted problem where the organizations are going to have to constantly weigh, do I make the next investment in technology? Do I make it in process? Do I make it in some lobbying effort, for example? So there's a lot of places where influence can be applied.
Absolutely. I just wanted to ask you one last question. So I know you just got to ETS, but what are you looking to glean out of ETS, and sort of, what brought you here, and how does some of the things at Bentley Systems really mash up with what we're doing today?
Right, absolutely. So I live in Austin, so that kind of made it easy for me to be here, but what a great opportunity to take advantage of some of the real thought leaders in the utility industry, some big players, and people who are charged with making some really important decisions, within the utilities themselves. So that certainly provides an opportunity for me personally, and also for Bentley, as we really look to be a leader in that industry, and to bring our almost 30-year history of supporting design and project delivery and asset performance, and really to do that in the best way for the utility companies and other organizations, prosumers, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it. Vonnie Smith, Bentley Systems. Thank you, Vonnie.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.